Good morning. So what is this series exactly? Well, after my dozen or so times of playing through the Pirate 101 story, I realized I haven't really ever read the dialogue. Sure, I know major plot points, but I was never enriched by all the dialogue and story this game has to offer. So that is what we're doing today, and for the next few months. I started a new privateer with the explicit purpose to read all the dialogue of the main story and truly learn why it is what we do. Sit back, relax, as we head into the story of Pirate 101, experiencing the nuances you may have overlooked, and endure potential side rants about the relevance to today's world. If you like this format, please consider subscribing, commenting, and liking to show me you're enthralled by the Pirate 101 story like I've been. Without further ado, let's sit by the fire and get started. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of Arc 1 for I Started a Privateer to read all the dialogue in Pirate 101 series. We are on book 15, the final book in the first arc, the original arc of the Kane saga. I will probably continue this with Arc 2. I don't know when I'll start that, but think of it as a Season 2 to this Season 1. Now, I know it's been a while since I've uploaded this series. I got sidetracked on a lot of the other side projects that I wanted to do and was working on, but we're finally here back to finish this off. And as you can notice, there's actually gameplay this time around. This is what you're seeing right now is my solo run of Kane on the privateer character with a majority of the build that will be in my privateer build video that will come a couple weeks after this video. So without further ado, let's get into the monster, the lore-filled behemoth that is Valencia Part 2. So we ended book 14 talking to Avery, and Avery says that Cagliostro is of high class, which means we'll need to get into the capital. Avery also says that the main routes are blocked from the war, so we'll need to use Avernus, which means returning to Gortez. Gortez argues that instead of sneaking into Valencia, we should march through proud with a plan. Gortez suggests we use Don Armando, the Monquistan diplomat, as an ambassador of the Valencian court. With that plan settled, we are off to Valencia. Our first order of business is to get audience with the Valencian Majesty, but they've stopped a meeting with foreigners and only urgent petitions, so we must somehow cut in line. We speak to a nearby duke who's having a profit-sharing issue with another man, Don Lucci. We head to Lucci's villa to see what's going on. We land at Lucci's villa and are attacked by the guards. We take them down, as is expected, and talk to Don Lucci, who says that the cargo was stolen by pirates. But if we can instead get him some void fish, we can make up for it as they sell for a high price. We return the fish to Don, we get the money, we go back to the Duke, who gives us his placement in the king's audience now that his whole issue is resolved. We enter the court and not only see the Majesty, the king, but also Kane and Kane's queen. He calls us out and tries to get us detained. We fight the Armada for a few rounds and the king calms the situation down. Don Armando uses his fantastical words to charm us out of a predicament with Kane. The Queen and King of Valencia, the real King and Queen, say that we should continue these discussions later when everyone's all calmed down. We retire to our diplomatic quarters and meet these two conspirators who are already waiting for us, Landino and Contessa. They say they're from the Resistance. We tell them we're looking for Cagliostro, and Contessa tells us that Cagliostro is a dangerous name, always followed by the Commander Typhon. The Commander Typhon is a Armada heavy similar to Rook that we face in Marleybone, and is always following Cagliostro around. These discussions between Contessa and Landino and us continue until Bonnie Ann notices a letter mysteriously on the table that wasn't put there by Landino or Contessa. We open the letter and it obviously has come from Cagliostro, who tells us to meet him in the Manicotti Atrium in the tunnels. It is here that we recruit Contessa as she can help navigate us through the tunnels. We enter the tunnel, seeing crabs and guinea pigs alike. And this is where Lucky Jack comments that when he was here previously, the guinea pigs lived in the city. Contessa here remarks that under Kane, they truly live beneath the city due to high tax and rent, when before it was more of a social class dynamic. Now it's become a financial class dynamic. We don't know where to go to the Manicotti Atrium, so we have to beat up some crab thugs to get the directions. We enter the correct tunnel and come across some crabs, and then we meet Cagliostro. Cagliostro tells us that G, and if you recall in book 14, the end of book 14, G was the creator of the secret code that Miaui already deciphered for us. So Cagliostro tells us that G is actually a human named Gaspaccio, and he's a prisoner but Cagliostro has no idea where. But he does know who can tell us where he is, and that is Steed and the Circle of the Resistance. Cagliostro gives us a lead in Desdemona, who is heavily involved with the Resistance, and she can help us. As our conversation with Cagliostro comes to an end, Commander Typhon interrupts and attacks as expected. We defeat him, he's just yet another boss in our wake, and return to Landino, and he says that we should head to the royal court and see if anyone there knows anything about Desdemona, as Landino doesn't know much. Now, even though Contessa and Landino are part of the Resistance, the Circle of Resistance is a secret group within the Resistance, and their identities are fairly concealed and their whereabouts are unknown. We enter and see a Dame Mascarino who tells us that Desdemona has been confined to her villa and some drama of betrothment. So we head to her villa. We're able to trick the door guard into letting us in and speak to Desdemona. So Desdemona tells us that she'll help us get into the inner circle if we help her true love Bassanio, who has been accused of being a spy. But he's innocent. It's actually Desdemona who's the spy. She gives us some letters that would prove his innocence. We enter the halls of justice where he's being kept and speak to the bigwig there, who says that he cannot accept new evidence. Contessa suggests that we start at the bottom and speak to a clerk who suggests bribery with a fine Aquilan statue. We sink smuggler ships around the Valencia skyways, but none of them have any. But one tells us that Aquila seized all trade, so no statues. We return to the clerk who suggests going straight to the manufacturer of these statues, back to Aquila. We return to Aquila and speak to Hippocrates, who suggests Pygmalion, a local sculptor for the statue gift. Pig says he'll help us, obviously if we help him, by getting him the finest white marble and tools for his personal project. We give him the supplies and we get the statue in return. We go back to the halls of justice with our bribe. The bribe works and we free Bassanio and take him to Desdemona. With the favor for a favor fulfilled, Desdemona gives us the name Don Giovanni of Villa Trigante and gives us the password to meet him. We enter the villa and give the password to the majordomo, who tells us to head into the wine cellars when we're ambushed by the resistance forces, believing us to be a spy for fuel. After 2 rounds of fights with the resistance forces, Don Giovanni greets us and we talk back upstairs. And of course, Steed is there. Steed, if you don't remember, he is the resistance guy that we met in Valencia Part 1, way back when we were like level 10. And they tell us that Gaspacho is being held in the Clockworks, a factory of the Tortellini crab clan, where Armada soldiers are made. Steed tells us to find Nobartunello, who's the agent responsible for receiving Gaspacho's messages from the prison, and he can tell us how to get in. Nobartunello tells us Gaspacho is kept prisoner in the tall tower, and says we'll need a key, which fortunately for us, a rival crab gang, the Rigatonis, stole a master key in some gang violence for their own purposes. We go back to the tunnels and get the master key from the Rigatonis. Nobartunello gives us some architectural plans of the keep and tells us it's riddled with guards, forewarning us of the danger to come. We accept the risk and we finally say goodbye to Don Armando before heading out to the keep. We enter the keep, fight a bunch of crabs and Armada troops, and we finally find Gaspacho. We free him and he needs to take a detour to collect some belongings. It's here we learn the origin of Cain and the method of how we can beat him. And there are a couple puppet shows we can watch here, so let us get into that.
My toys are the wonder of Valencia, the toast of the spire. Instead of relishing the joy my creations brought, I wanted them to make me rich. Greed, I see now, was my undoing. My partners and investors, the Tortellini family, asked me to make more practical devices. I listened. Instead of toys, I built automata, machines shaped like men. Tireless servants who need no food or wages. The wealthy paid handsomely for them. In return for making them rich, the Tortellinis betrayed me. I was exiled from Valencia. In my hidden workshop, I forged a plan for revenge. I would build a new clockwork, but with a true mind and will. No mere servant. This machine would be an artist, with talents exceeding even my own. It took years, but at last my labor was done. The machine I built was the pinnacle of my artistry. When it stirred, I gave my creation a name, Cain. Cain would help me imagine and create even grander devices, we would drive the Tortellini to financial ruin, and I would have my revenge. I was a fool. I built Cain not for the sake of art, not to do good, but for a revenge. My dark purpose was reflected in his dark soul. El Dorado was a dead city, but far from empty. Terrible mechanical sentinels remained, great giants made of solid gold. The things caught us by surprise and decimated the crew in an instant. Only a handful of us escaped. We cast off from the Golden Dock, but one of them managed to board the ship. We destroyed the terrible machine and barely escaped with our lives. While the others argued over their share of the gold, I claimed the broken pieces of the Guardian as my share. That machine, what a wonder it was.
Gaspacho tells us that Cain started to make his own armada troops, specializing them for his needs, like Deacon and Rook, who took Gaspacho prisoner. The belongings that Gaspacho must acquire are the heart of a golem from El Dorado. Gaspacho also reveals that he was on the crew to El Dorado. He's the one who took the picture, and used the mind of the golem to build Cain, which explains why he's so advanced. With this in hand, we plan the final battle to confront Cain at his spire. After escaping the keep, defeating more armada troops and crabs, we head to the docks where we once again see Nobertonelo, where we share our plan to confront Cain, and he wishes us luck, leaving us to our own vices. We land at the docks to see the clockworks already smashed. Trying to open the door, we see it's locked, when a voice from behind makes itself known. It's Fool. Fool reveals that Cain's plan of the machine to destroy and excavate the spiral, reforging it in his mind. And it's revealed that he was the one who cleared the path for us, and gives us the key to get inside. When we question him why would he do such a thing and betray Cain, Fool admits that he does not see himself in Cain's idea of perfection and is just trying to save himself. It's revealed here that Fool was Gaspacho's first attempt at a advanced clockwork, some would say the first iteration of Cain. With the doors unlocked, we enter the machine. We go up the elevator, and the first thing we see are the crystals from the Valley of the Gold Monkey, and Scratch senses a lot of bad mojo. Cain stands overhead on a platform, and Gaspacho pleads to him to take the heart and gain some humanity. Cain shoots the heart out of Gaspacho's hands, thanking him for making it easy. But he doesn't just stop there. He shoots Gaspacho and tells us that all is lost. He monologues and mogs on us that he discovered the map was based on some astronomical equations, and he decided to make his own. Using what he learned from Skull Island and Mushu, he spent 20 days doing what Marco Polo took 20 years to do. But he doesn't care for the gold. He cares for the means to rebuild himself, to shake himself from the hand of man that made him. It's in this monologue that he ambushes us, making his own escape as he permits the machine to self-destruct. We get through that first round of armada troops, we walk up the stairs to confront Cain, where the machine denies his request, fulfilling the cycle of sons stopping their fathers. With Cain's plan foiled, he escapes upstairs while we are left with the machine and a couple more armada troops. We defeat them, we go up to Cain, and this is where we fight Cain and his royal court. And this is the fight that you've been seeing in the background in this entire video. Obviously, we have to beat Cain. After Cain's defeat, we hear the crystals call to us. It's our parents. They're telling us to let the dream of El Dorado go, with gold meaning nothing. Scratch confirms that this is our real parents and not some fakes. They've been set to peace in their real home. And all of our companions say their gracious thanks for us being their captain. And Bonnie Ann suggests that we tell Avery of the news. We return to Avery, and he tells us that he already knows that the news of the Armada is spreading, and it seems all is well, until we cut to a scene of the aftermath of the chessboard with the Queen awakening. She awakens, and cut to black. And that's the end of book 15. It ends with the Queen reawakening, Cain dead, the Armada weakened, and yeah. What did they do with the Queen's Awakening? If you've played Krokotopia, you'll know. But, I don't know, maybe they'll do something different with it later. If you're not aware what they do with Queen in Arc 2, you'll see once I start to make that series what they do. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this series. It was really fun for me to make. It was fun to read all the dialogue and understand every story element and why things happen. And who knows, maybe I'll do this with side quests and read all the dialogue in every aspect of the game. But until then, I'll see you next time.